All right, let's dive into the absolute pressure cooker that is Act 1 of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Now, forget what you think you know about old plays. This is a straight-up political thriller. It's all about how whispers in the dark, jealousy, and some serious personal anxiety can lay the groundwork for an event that will change history forever.
And it all kicks off with this one single warning. Out of nowhere, in the middle of a cheering crowd, some mysterious fortune teller, a soothsayer, yells this at the most powerful man in Rome. Beware the Ides of March. That's March 15th. It's so specific, so chilling, and believe me, that one unforgettable warning just hangs over every single thing that happens next.
So, let's set the scene in Rome. What's going on? Well, on the surface, it's basically a giant street party. Everyone's celebrating Julius Caesar's latest military victory. He's just defeated the sons of his old rival, Pompey the Great. But you can just feel it. Underneath all the cheers and parades, something is seriously wrong.
And right away, you see just how divided this city is. On one hand, you've got the crowds, right? They're going wild for their hero, Caesar. But on the other hand, you have these city officials, the tribunes, and they are furious. They're out there yelling at the people, calling them fickle, calling them hypocrites. They're like, hey, don't you remember just yesterday you were cheering this loudly for Pompey? The same guy Caesar just beat? For them, this isn't a victory for Rome. It's a terrifying step towards one-man rule.
Now, to really get why they're so scared, you have to understand this one crucial word, republic. For centuries, Rome has been a republic. That means it's governed by elected officials, by its people, specifically so that it's free from the absolute power of a single king. So the very idea of one man holding all that power, that's not just a political disagreement. For these guys, it is a nightmare scenario, something they thought they had escaped ages ago. And all of this brings us to the biggest question in the whole play, and it all circles around one man, Julius Caesar. So what is he? Is he Rome's savior, the hero of the people, or is he a power-hungry politician who's about to tear down everything the Republic stands for?
We actually get a pretty good glimpse into Caesar's own head during this big festival, the Lupercalia. Remember that soothsayer who shouted the warning about the Ides of March? Well, how does Caesar react? He just brushes him off. He calls the guy a dreamer, which basically means he thinks he's crazy. It is such a power move. In public, he looks untouchable, totally in control. But it also shows this dangerous level of arrogance, you know? He's completely ignoring a direct, supernatural warning.
And that leads us right into the mind of Marcus Brutus, who's a dear friend of Caesar's. This guy is completely torn in two. On a personal level, he genuinely loves Caesar, the man. But at the same time, he is absolutely terrified of what Caesar could become. He's afraid that Caesar's ambition will be the thing that finally kills the Republic, and he loves the Republic even more than his friend. This conflict right here, it's the key to the whole story.
And of course, there's a guy named Cassius who sees this conflict in Brutus and decides, I can use that. See, Cassius is intensely jealous of Caesar, but he knows he can't get rid of him alone. He needs the noble, well-respected Brutus on his side, so he starts to work on him, to manipulate him. He flatters Brutus, tells him how great he is, but then he hits him with the big one, his family legacy. He reminds Brutus that one of his ancestors was famous for driving the last king out of Rome. The message is crystal clear. Fighting tyrants is literally in your blood. It's your destiny.
3. Just remember that number, because it's at the heart of this incredibly dramatic public spectacle that's about to unfold, a piece of political theater that's going to push everyone one step closer to the edge.
So what happens is just pure political theater. During the festival, Caesar's right-hand man, Mark Antony, offers him a crown. Not just once, but 3 separate times right there in front of the roaring crowd. And each time, Caesar pushes it away. Now the crowd goes absolutely nuts. They love his humility. But other people watching, like the cynical Casca, they see right through it. They think the only reason he refused it was because he was putting on a show. They could see it in his eyes. He wanted that crown. So was it all just an act?
That whole performance with the crown, for Cassius, it confirms all of his worst fears. He realizes he's got to act fast if he's going to win Brutus over completely. He can't just drop hints anymore. Nope, he needs a concrete, devious master plan to push Brutus from being a worried friend to becoming an active conspirator.
And the plan he comes up with is a masterclass in manipulation. First, he's going to forge a bunch of letters. He'll even write them in different handwriting styles so it looks like they're coming from all sorts of concerned Roman citizens. And what will these letters say? All the same thing. Rome is in grave danger, Caesar is getting too powerful, and Brutus is the only honorable man who can save them. Then he'll have the letter secretly tossed through Brutus's window, making him believe that the people themselves are crying out for him to act against his best friend.
So as Cassius starts putting this sneaky plot into motion, the world outside seems to be reflecting the chaos that's brewing inside the city. A huge, violent, totally unnatural storm rolls into Rome, and it feels like a really, really bad omen.
And listen, this is not just any old thunderstorm. People are seeing the most bizarre, terrifying things out on the streets. They're having wild, awful dreams. It feels like the heavens are angry, as if the gods themselves are protesting what's happening in Rome. One man getting way too close to having absolute power. The whole atmosphere is just thick with dread and this kind of supernatural fear.
And then, in the middle of this crazy storm, Cassius learns the one piece of news that changes everything. It's a bombshell. The rumors are true. The Senate is planning to officially offer Caesar the crown and make him king. The very next day, tomorrow. The deadline is no longer some threat in the future. It is literally hours away. The time for whispering and plotting is over.
So this is what it all comes down to. The forged letters are on their way to Brutus's house. The other conspirators are gathering in the shadows, and the clock is ticking towards dawn. Cassius is certain that this final bit of news will be the push Brutus needs to finally join them. And that leaves us with the ultimate cliffhanger. With the clock ticking, forced to make an impossible choice, will Brutus betray his friend, or will he betray his country? The fuse has been lit.